Achieving sculpted abs is the dream of many. After watching this video, you'll know everything you need to attain them. Everyone desires to have sculpted abdominals, and this drives many people to flock to the gyms in the months leading up to summer, dedicating themselves to endless circuits of abdominal exercises and fat-burning workouts. You think this is the best way to get them? Sculpting your abs is actually much simpler than you think. However, the world of abs is rife with lies and false myths, often perpetuated out of ignorance or for profit. Let's shed some light on this topic. In the first part of the video, we'll discuss how to achieve sculpted abs, while in the second part, we'll go through a practical program. With abdomen, we refer to the muscle group located in the trunk, which includes the rectus abdominis, the obliques external and internal, and the transverse. These muscles are often hidden under a layer of fat, so to render them visible, we simply need to do two things. Hypertrophy them as much as possible and reduce the layer of fat on the stomach. We need to do both. Doing only one of these isn't enough, as demonstrated by bears and skinny fat individuals. Exactly, you shouldn't just exercise to lose weight. You shouldn't go on starvation diets. The abdominal muscles should be treated just like any other muscle. See, you need to understand this concept because it's very important. There's no separate workout for bulking up and another for getting defined. What stimulates the muscle to grow in size also will allows us to preserve it for definition. It's the caloric intake that changes. So, what is the best workout for our abs? We simply need to understand the function of the different fibers and choose the appropriate exercises. Don't worry, I'll take care of everything. Just grab some paper and pen and outline your workout. First of all, let's focus on the rectus abdominis, or the coveted six-pack. All we need to do is simply choose two variations of the crunch, one where we progress with the load and the other where we progress with intensity. Generally, I prefer using added weight on the standard crunch while focusing on intensity with reverse crunches. Choose the exercise you enjoy the most, whether it's with dumbbells, cables, or even the crunch machine. Remember, if we do something we enjoy, it'll be easier to stay consistent. This is enough to train your six-pack, and if you don't enjoy doing abs exercises, you can stop here. For those who want to continue, we can add an exercise for the obliques. Let's choose to work with cables or dumbbells. Please don't do those useless exercises without any load that some ignorant personal trainers suggest to slim down the hips. They don't work. And finally, we can work on the transverse abdominis. This muscle isn't directly visible. However, since its primary role is to contain the viscera, some studies have shown that training it can reduce waist circumference. One swallow does not make a summer, but just in case, you can add vacuums to your routine. Here's an effective workout to stimulate abdominal growth. There are dozens of exercises. Just think of the plank and its endless variations. However, in creating a workout that would be effective for everyone, I preferred to keep it simple. Exactly like with all other muscles, you can work either with single or multi-frequency. Scientifically, studies reveal that in 90% of cases, multi-frequency yields better results. So, I suggest you follow this workout twice a week. However, you might fall into that 10% that sees better results with lower volumes. Test it out and find out. Now that our training stimulus is in place, we need to focus on reducing the layer of fat on the stomach. The best solution is obviously to rely on a nutritionist, but I still want to give you some advice. The two fundamental components we need to address are creating the right calorie deficit and consuming the right amount of protein. See, nutrition is also full of myths, but just like training, the truth is that any diet works. Otherwise, all top athletes would eat the same way. So, whether you're vegan, omnivorous, a fan of ketogenic diets, or anything else, the important thing is that you consume fewer calories than you expend. Don't overdo it with the deficit. Remember that besides losing weight, we also need to eat enough to preserve muscle mass. So, don't exceed more than 500 calories of deficit per day if you're a man and 300 calories if you're a woman. When it comes to protein intake, there's no magic number. Studies provide us with a range from 1.6 grams to 3.1 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. In a very simple way, what I do is consume 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram until the midline of the abdomen is just visible. From that point onwards, I start increasing protein intake by 0.1 or 0.2 grams per kilogram for every kilogram lost. Proteins should be calculated based on lean body mass, so use the direct formula only if you don't have to high percentages of body fat. Otherwise, you could calculate proteins based on your hypothetical ideal weight. Now I'll show you how I approach my cutting phase. Step number 1. I calculate my basal metabolic rate calories using very simple formulas. Step number 2. I multiply my basal calories by the daily activity coefficient. Step number 3. After obtaining a rough idea of the calories I consume on average each day, I have the calorie deficit, so I subtract 500. Step number 4. I calculate my protein intake. Step number 5. I fill the rest of the calories with fats and carbohydrates. I tend to keep fats relatively low, but some prefer to decrease carbohydrates. Both solutions work fine. Step number 6. I weigh myself every week and adjust accordingly. Formulas will never be precise to 100%. Our bodies are terribly complex. The best solution is to try and adjust as needed. As you can see, it's not very difficult. You just need to approach things with rationality and follow the guidelines that science provides us with. Beware of those who propose miraculous diets or magical supplements. They're just trying to sell you something. If you want to follow a professional path, rely on a personal trainer and a nutritionist. There's no better choice. Speaking of supplements, it's proven that caffeine does indeed increase thermogenesis, thus aiding in weight loss by raising your calorie expenditure. However, it's worth mentioning that if you already consume coffee daily, you may have developed a tolerance to it. Increasing your intake too much could be risky or, at best, ineffective. In addition, there are other substances that have been proven effective for weight loss but are illegal in some countries, so I won't mention them. Finally, just a few words about cardio activity. By now, you know my training philosophy. Consistency is the cornerstone of everything. So, I generally leave it up to clients whether or not to do cardio. However, if asked about my idea of cardio for weight loss, I definitely prefer HIIT protocols. Manage your cardio as you see fit, just remember not to overdo it. Studies have clearly shown that creating a calorie deficit by reducing diet is much more effective than trying to burn more calories with cardio. In some cases, it has even been counterproductive due to increases in cortisol levels caused by physical stress.